Morning, everyone. So, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Nice to be back in person. We're doing a little bit of a hybrid. We thought we'd have an in-person quorum, but we're one short. I do have two of the policy board members online. Vernon Benjamin is online. Say hi, Vernon.
Hi, hello, I'm sorry I'm not online.
All right, I was going to say we're not, but I probably shouldn't say that. So
No, we are.
we would hope you could make it, Vernon.
I had a truck breakdown.
There you go. And John Moore was online as well.
We have Lizzie Phillip.
Oh, Lizzie Philly. Hi, say hi, Lizzie.
Might have Amy McKenzie.
Amy's on as well,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
for members, yeah. I'll go down the list of who's on the line for everyone.
And it's one of the reasons we didn't want to conduct just so everybody understands why we didn't want to conduct a hybrid meeting, or we prefer to do this all in person versus hybrid, is the fact that the responsibility for hybrid meetings under the open meetings law, and there's some question as to whether or not the council is subject to open meetings law because we're a federal creation. And so we have seen rulings actually from NISDOT itself that in fact the council is not subject to the open meetings law. But if we are or were, just be aware of the fact that if you do decide to hold a hybrid meeting and allow people to participate online, those people that are participating online actually have to be seen and heard from the individuals that are at the meeting, and they have to disclose their location. And here's the kicker. If anyone from the public wants to see them at their location, allow that access. And that's the one that gets everybody. So if you think you're going to avoid public access by being online, you're not.
Probably have to advertise that.
And you have
Yes.
to advertise it before the meeting. That's correct. I think it's 72 hours, as I recall. So, I mean, I know the legislature's wrestling with this. I have other boards that we support are also wrestling with this as well. So, but I thank you all for coming today in person. And I thank the members for being online with us. So with that, if I can, why don't we do a roll call? And I'm really glad to be back, and hopefully we get through this and with no more setbacks.
I will name the municipality. If the voting member present could please state their name. Ulster County,
Ed Pine.
City of Kingston, Town of Saugerties,
Vernon, I think, has something to say. Vernon?
Well, just about the comment about being online as opposed to being in person. I have been nurturing the idea of doing an essay to pray for remaining virtual, if for no other reason than the vehicle miles traveled. The climate impact of all of us being in the same room is probably enough to be measured. And if virtual participation is a way to get around that, then maybe we ought to change the Freedom of Information law. I know it's not a popular position.
Thanks, Vernon. Go ahead, Brian.
Town of Ulster, New York State Department of Transportation,
Here. Sandra Jackson.
New York State Thruway Authority,
We have Lizzie Phillip on the line.
Town of Hurley, Town of Esopus, Town of Marlborough,
Al Lanzetta.
Town of Shawangum,
John Paul.
Village of New Paltz,
Tim Rogers.
Town of Warsing, Town of Kingston, Town of Rochester.
Mike Baden.
Thank you. 7 present in person, 2 online. Fred, Town of Lloyd is the 2-year voting membership has rotated effective June 4th. Okay, good. So we're happy you're here, but Town of Lloyd is no longer a voting member until 2020. Thank you.
So we can make you a voting member. I mean, if you can find another town that you want to represent, just be aware of the fact that you can get a proxy, and we would love to have you at the table. It's important, and you are one of the towns that are actually in an urbanized area.
But I can attempt, but just can't vote.
Unless named as a proxy, and you can be named as a proxy for any municipality.
Yeah, that's what I would do, Fred. And we'll work with you to get you named as a proxy.
I'll reach out.
Yeah.
Introductions.
Dave?
Yeah, I can run down who we have online here. We have Vernon Benjamin, Amy McKenzie, Ann Noonan, Anthony Mignon, Chris Kate, Ellie Gardenstein, Herb Litz, Laura Petit, and Lizzie Phillip. Did I miss anyone on the line? No, I don't think so.
Other guests?
Hi everyone, my name is Sasha Ahmed. I'm the director of Ulster County Area Transit. Just want to make sure everyone, I know there's some new members here and have a chance to talk and talk about whatever transit issues your towns may be facing.
Thanks, Sasha. Okay, I'm gonna, item number 2 is call for citizens' comments. Anyone online would like to make a comment? Hearing none. Any council members?
I have one that was brought to me by a resident, and I need to thank Tom Jackson and the county DPW for how fast they had a response. We had a very unfortunate almost accident with a gentleman driving his tractor along Lucas, following the proper safety, and there's a fear that many people driving that are not used to being in rural areas don't understand how to deal with slow-moving farm vehicles. Thankfully, all were okay, but I reached out to Tom, and they are going to post the tractor slow-moving signs along parts of Lucas and parts of County Route 6 for the town of Rochester. And I just somehow was thinking about it and was wondering if we can do maybe a public information campaign
Or I wrote
kind
it
of
down.
thing. Yep.
Yep, I hear
Um,
what you're saying, Mike.
yeah, it's just we have a lot of new drivers who are not new people to the area, who are not used to this and don't know how to deal with it. So, thank you.
Appreciate that. Any other council members? Okay. Hearing none. Item 3, approval of the February 23rd, 2021 Policy Committee meeting summary. Do I have a motion for discussion purposes?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Pine. Do I have a
I'll
second?
second it. Mike
Thank
Hayden.
you. Thank you, Mr. Baden. I have a motion, a second. Any discussion? I guess I can now say any,
All in favor?
all in favor. I'm so used to saying any opposed, so I don't have to go through all of that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, so carried. Appreciate that. Communications and announcements, Brian?
The only communication that comes to mind at the moment is that the New York State Department of Transportation has indicated that there may be a transportation alternatives program call for projects this fall. We're waiting for further word. I think what we're all waiting for is to see how Congress acts with regard to the latest Transportation Authorization Act. That I don't know if that may be influencing NISDOT and Albany, Sandra, with the release of TAP funds, but we've been hearing about TAP funds.
Thank you.
Anything else, Brian?
No,
Okay. Well, we have some stuff we want to cover. We'll cover it under old business rather than under communications and so forth. I'm going to beg the council's indulgence for that. It's been so long since we met, I thought that we would do a more extensive project update and ask the members to update us on where their projects are as well. So with that, new business item A, UCTC Resolution 2021-05. It's amendment to the UCTC Federal Fiscal Year Transportation Plan 2024 Transportation Improvement Program. I apologize. And add a new NISDOT project PIN number 817751 is shown in attachment 1. Brian, you want to update us on what? No, let me get a motion for on that before we discuss it. Can I have a motion for discussion purposes?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Lanzetta. Thank you, Mr. Falk. I have a motion and second discussion, Brian.
I will defer to Senator Johnson. So it's a nice stuff project.
Yeah, well, Brian's done a nice job of including a nice description there that you can read the limits of what we're proposing. And this is just part of our preventative maintenance initiative program, annual paving.
Okay, and it's Route 209. It's it's a fairly busy stretch of Route 209. And that's both, is that both directions, Sandra, do you know?
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah, okay. All right. Can you do me one big favor? Can you explain pit bonds?
Oh, my gosh, absolutely cannot explain them.
I think it got set up.
Oh, totally set up. That definitely, but you know what I can do? I can easily get, because I'll just fumble through it, is let me get like a good paragraph that explains it precisely and more directly, and I'll send that on. You guys need to share it if you want. How does that sound?
Sure.
Okay? Because I know I won't.
I actually tried to get an explanation. I was going to take this on myself, and I tried to get an explanation before the meeting, and I'm like, I can't explain this.
No, I don't even want to start saying things, because I'll just dig myself into a hole. So
Okay,
I'll get that for you.
thank you.
Considering that this is an addition to the Transportation Improvement Program, therefore it requires a full amendment to the tip and 15-day public notice. Did receive one public comment, which was submitted by Kathy Nolan. The comment is, I support the addition of pin 87751. That was the only comment.
Any discussion from the council members?
Just a question, with that being such a highly trafficked area, is this work being done at night or is it being done with one lane closure at a time? Or
Yeah, that's a good question too. I don't know. I would have to check that.
With
That's-
probably one lane,
that's-
right, Sandra? Because it's a two lane, it's two lanes. And I don't know why they would close it.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
really decreased a lot of our nighttime construction.
I was just
over the
curious.
last Year, but it's a good question, and you're never really sure what they're planning to do. And then even sometimes it can change once the contractor is on board and depending on what they propose and stuff like that. So, but I can check. Let me just check if there's any nighttime, at least at this point, any nighttime construction.
Would it be helpful if I provided an update on the sidewalk project that we've been working on since the
It will, I
1970s?
think, as soon as we
Let me finish this resolution,
Right.
Tim, and then we'll.
Okay, sorry.
I was going to give everyone an opportunity to discuss their projects. I know there's quite a bit going on in New Paltz. I really appreciate that. Any other council comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So carried.
Thank you.
I'm on item number 6, other old business.
Sure, I'll run down, just, these are quick updates, but then we have quite a few others actually that are worth discussing. The first is TPM, Transportation Performance Management. This is a federal requirement that came into play in 2013 under MAP 21 Transportation Authorization Act. And this board has approved quite a few resolutions over the years, keeping up with the MPO's requirements for transportation performance management in a variety of different areas, including pavement conditions, bridge conditions, safety, congestion, and I'm sure I'm leaving out a few major measurement areas. I just wanted to put this link on people's radars to encourage them to visit the Federal Highway Administration webpage, which shows all the latest reporting by state. It's a very interesting interactive mapping tool where you can see how the resolutions passed at this table are then fed into an aggregate statewide system. And it shows how the state is performing across a wide variety of measures over time. Please take a look at the site. It's interesting information. There's some areas where the state, I think, is lagging, and there's some areas where we're doing very well, particularly when compared to other states across the country. And that's the other really interesting aspect of the webpage, is that you're able to very easily compare to other major states like Texas or Florida, or neighboring states like Pennsylvania or New Jersey and Massachusetts to see how we're performing across a variety of.
Any questions, Brian? Any questions for Brian? Those are measures, right? Not management?
Yes.
Transportation performance measures. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sorry. Upcoming meetings, I have no upcoming meetings on my radar, other than the next technical committee meeting would be held in July. We do have at least one significant resolution that will need to be passed with regard to FTA 5307 funds and awards associated with our unallocated funds in the TMA area. And I may as well mention those now. We did do a release of funds back in January or February. Dutchess, Orange, and Ulster, acting as the transportation management area, released a call for projects, competitive funding awarded to designated recipients. We received a variety of proposals. There were 5 proposals submitted from throughout the region. 2 were for sidewalk projects, which are eligible for funding if those projects are near transit facilities. These particular projects were deemed ineligible considering the way that they were proposed. There are 3 remaining projects. One was from the MTA Metro North for line upgrades and resiliency. The total project cost is $200 million for the full Hudson line. They requested $15 million, which was the entirety of the allocation. Another submission was from UCAT, in total of $4 million for bus electrification equipment and rolling stock, as well as for conducting an engineering study for the construction of a new transit facility. And Dutchess County Public Transit submitted a $4.2 million study, or rather, capital request for improvements to their facility. So I apologize, I don't have this in writing for people to review, but it will be on the resolution in August. The directors have recommended a partial award for MTA in total of roughly 4.2 million, full award for UCAT of 4 million, and full award for Dutchess County, just over 4 million. So you will see that in a resolution.
Just so everyone understands, the source of this funds is 5307 money that comes into the TMA. The TMA, in terms of allocating 5307 money, we generate a lot of that money comes from the private carriers, particularly from Coach USA and Trailways. And we set aside about 10% of that, amounting to somewhere between $2.5 to $3.3 million a year. And we set that aside for these types of projects. And the private carriers are also eligible. They did not submit. And what ended up happening with respect to this is that we held back of the 15 million we have available. There's another allocation for federal fiscal year 2020, which is about 3.3 million. We held that back. So that remains in reserve. And then we're waiting to see what happens with respect to the 2021 allocation as well. So we should, even after we spend this money or allocate this money, we should have approximately available to us about $6 million, which would again be unallocated and available for projects. And we usually let that build up, and then we release a call for projects. And the reason we do that is that transit demands are lumpy and big. So what ends up happening is rather than allocate it out, we wait, and then we make major capital investments or major changes in investments with respect to transit needs. In the past, we've funded buses for UCAT, we funded buses for Trailways, we funded buses for Dutchess County, we funded the ferry activity in Newburgh Beacon. We funded Newburgh Beacon Ferry at request from that. I would say that Orange County generates a lot of this money, but Orange County has a significant amount of transit funds available and is kind enough to let the rest of the region use those funds. They have not asked for participated in these awards. So I'll leave it at that. I would say this with respect to transit. We're currently the American Recovery Act that was passed. The CARES Act generated about $85 million in transit funds into the TMA. That funding got fully allocated out to the private sector and to the public sector. Trailways got about $12 million of that money, and we're still trying to track down some of that funds. We're having discussions with Trailways with respect to the use of some of those funds. They seem to be burning about $4 million a year in operating costs from that. And we're having a constant discussion with respect to Trailways and CDTA, which is the sponsoring entity for their trams grant, with respect to the use of that funds. And what ended up happening under the American Recovery Act, according to the Federal Register, there's another 66 million coming into the TMA. And out of that 66 million, we don't know what the split's going to be as of yet, because here's what happens. Part of the TMA extends into the state of New Jersey. So the state of New Jersey and the state of New York are having a conversation about how that money is going to be split. Typically, less than 10% of that money goes to the state of New Jersey. So, but we don't know what those conversations are. We've had this in the past, where this has happened in the past, and it gets tied up. I don't want to use too much jargon, but it gets tied up in a state-to-state issue. And it also gets up to a state to multi-state issue, because how this is split also affects some of the transit funds that are used in UCA1, which is the New York metropolitan area, which is also the state of Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York. So it gets complicated fast, and we're hoping that we can solve that problem. But what those folks at the TMA table should know is that there are significant more funds going to be available for transit in the region to cover carrying costs as we recover from the pandemic. And Saja, could you give us a sense of where UCAT is in terms of ridership, in terms of recovery? I think you've made some surprising recovery, as I recall.
Yeah, so we were kind of in the beginning of right in the beginning of the pandemic, we suspended a lot of our routes. And as we scaled back up to almost full service by August, and we were hovering around anywhere between 25% of our usual ridership, which is about 500,000 riders a year. We don't have a good statistic after we consolidated with City of Kingston, unfortunately, because the pandemic hit before we hit our 1-year mark with the City of Kingston. But I would estimate it to be, all things being equal, around 500,000 riders a year. And over the past, I would say 3 months, we see kind of a 20% increase every month, and we're hovering anywhere between on our various services. Obviously, there's some differences. We have our fixed route service that serves the Poughkeepsie train station, and that's obviously falling behind, as is our New Paltz Loop, because of less students on campus, obviously. But for the most part, our ridership is back to 65 to 70% of where it was pre-pandemic. And the initial estimate provided by MTA and Metro North was that it would take until 2025 to re-up to where we were pre-pandemic. And I don't think that will be the case. And is this a good time for an announcement?
Sure.
Yes.
Oh, never a bad time for an announcement unless it's a bad announcement.
No, it's a good announcement. So on Wednesday, we're having a public information session just to describe the service we provide. I became director in January of 2020. I had some plans that kind of fell through about doing some outreach and marketing for the service that we do have. I think that UCAT has often fallen short of getting out the word and the service that we do have. So we're going to do a full presentation on all of our routes, all the services. There are some services that are specifically tailored for seniors, people with disabilities, going through how to flag down the bus, which I don't think a lot of people know you can do. And Radio Kingston's actually going to do a live stream, and we are hoping to actually cut up the video into segments that are easy to digest. And I just got permission to do a YouTube channel just specifically for UCAT. So we'll have a better information for the residents of Ulster County. And then thereafter, I think that we're going to work on doing some education for our town supervisors on what services are available to each town. Because I think there's a lot of changes that happen every 2 years, obviously, but there needs to be some continuity in education, and we've revamped our schedules. I think I heard it being said a little bit earlier, there's a lot of new residents in Ulster County. It's not just anecdotal anymore. And what we'd like to do is to increase our ridership and not just rely on the captured ridership as we have for many years of people that are, have no other option other than having to rely on the bus for whatever reason. And we are doing, I think NISDOT is sponsoring a car-free day in September, and we're going to definitely participate. Actually, the meeting's in a little bit, so we can get on. And I think just educating people, taking the baby step of maybe doing 1 to 2 trips a month on the bus instead of using their car. I think it came up in the someone online that's joined us that the actual footprint. One of the easiest ways to reduce your personal footprint is to do 1 trip on the bus a month. So that's kind of the public outreach that we're working on. We do have a severe driver shortage though, so I think we have our best intentions to do a lot to kind of scale up our services, but obviously we first and foremost rely on having enough drivers. So that's a challenge that I don't think it's limited to UCAT. I think everyone's having a worker shortage from DPW to UCAT, but there's definitely going to be a nationwide shortage of qualified CDL drivers in the years to come.
Thanks, Sajid.
Can I add just to follow up on that? Saja, when you reach out to the towns, if you include the town clerks, because they're really the go-to source of information. The supervisors are great, but the clerks are the ones that deal with the public on a day-to-day basis, and they get most of these questions. So when you have that session with the supervisors, bringing the town clerks in will go a long way.
I think I should limit it to just
Yeah.
towns.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Because they're really they're the go-to people.
So if you have an announcement for that, if you could send it to us, we'll send it to our mailing list. So
Yeah.
it comes out to our mailing list, get it out. So thank you. And I thank you for that. So staying on the transit theme, the other thing that the council should be aware of is the county, the original county-wide tri-county transit study, which is called Connect Mid-Hudson, took a look at micromobility models and looked at areas in the various counties where micromobility should be moved forward. Ulster County has started, our UPWP actually includes funding for a micromobility study. But we've actually started a discussion with a company called VIA with respect to micromobility in Ellenville, and we're also looking at Kingston as a micromobility option. And this is a NYSERDA grant. It's what they call a PON out of NYSERDA, and it's only available to the private sector. So the public sector can't apply by itself. The private sector has to apply. So we're engaged in that discussion right now. And the way that discussion works is if you're chosen for the initial planning grant, it's $200,000 to essentially design an implementation of a micromobility model for the area that you apply for. And the second piece of that is you're chosen to be a finalist to implement that. I think it's 7 million. Saja, do you remember the number? I think it's 7 million. I think you're eligible for to implement the model. So the county is moving forward through that application process.
What's micromobility?
It's literally going granular think of it as paratransit on steroids, if you want to think of it that way. It literally is the sense that what you're trying to do is move people on a one-to-one basis into areas that they need to go. That's literally what you're trying to do. And in this instance, VIA is thinking about, because it's NYSERDA, they're thinking about it running an all-electric fleet. So that's what you're looking at. So we would look at, for example, in Wawarsing or Ellenville, we would look at the greater Wawarsing area, look at those areas in Wawarsing where we don't have a regular transit fleet, a regular transit service, and we move into those areas and bring them into the services that are in Ellenville. For those folks that are in Ellenville, we would look at bringing them to services that are not available to Ellenville. Think of Ellenville Hospital, think of ShopRite, think of Walmart, those kinds of things. So you'd run direct service in a very granular sense. Does that help, Tim?
It's like a car service.
It's not. It's a little bit more robust than a car service. I mean, these are vans typically is what they use. So it's a little bit more robust. It is really like a paratransit service for those folks that are not obviously not handicapped or not eligible for paratransit.
Where VIA's strength lies as a company is within their software.
Yeah.
And that is, we actually proposed micromobility zones in our initial route takeover from the city of Kingston. And it was problematic for a number of reasons, one of which was dispatch. And it was also, there are a variety of factors that contribute to its ultimate failure. But the software is supposed to really streamline the public's ability to request a ride or trip within a particular zone, say a village. And then it combines those requests with other individuals in the area. And so it can do multiple pickups in one vehicle to reach a common destination.
Cross county line.
It can
can.
eventually, but the proposal, I believe that VIA is producing is looking at 2 specific geographic areas in Ulster County for an initial rollout. It would essentially be a pilot program.
Yeah, and part of that, John, has to do with the fact that one of the criteria is environmental justice communities, low and moderate income. So there is essentially a reason to look in the areas we're looking. It's not just geography. Is the point I'm trying to make.
Because I was, well, just thinking, our western part of town would probably qualify and then take them into Elmhall or Warsaw.
Yeah, but Brian's correct. I mean, one of the things that VIA is really known for is their software. So the combining of trips and how it works. It's basically, if you think of it as demand response, that's what you're thinking about as a demand response. There's another software company that does that. It's called Trapeze, but it's not. It doesn't appear that is robust as the VIA software. So that's what the county is currently studying. So on that, I think I'm done with transit. Is there anything else I need to discuss with respect to transit? Probably not. Okay. All right. So project updates, Brian?
We've been doing a lot of talking. I'm happy to defer to some of our local members if there are any federal aid project updates or other transportation related project updates that they would like to offer.
Tim?
Yeah, so we had an award in 2014 regarding sidewalks in the village. We've been working on this project for a very long time. And then with the project on Henry W. Du Bois in New Paltz and with the new traffic light in New Paltz, we didn't want to move forward unless our project was being integrated with that project. It seems like we're now finally all on the same page and we've been working with DOT. I got a note from DOT recently. They're like, well, what is the plan? And like, the plan is exactly what we've hoped it to work out as in terms of building the sidewalks or basically going out to bid simultaneously. So the Henry W. project and our village sidewalk project would go out to bid at the same time. Hopefully we can attract contractors who would be interested in both projects and to do it at the same time. And
Separate bids, but same time.
separate
Yeah,
bids,
okay.
just so contractors could, because they're completely separate projects, but can be done at the same time. And then we've also been trying to time this with the work that is being done on the Empire State Trail, because Hudson River Valley Greenway wants to make a connection from their EST portion on Henry W., which would go across 32, and then we finally got an easement from the neighbor next to Village Pizza, which would then connect with the Wallkill Valley Rail Trail. So we've been trying to align all these different moving parts, and it seems like they're finally on the same page. But we're hoping to put bid docs out this fall. We probably are ready to put the bid docs out for the village project straight away, but we've just been dragging our feet to wait for the Henry W. project.
That's great news. I know that it's been a cumbersome process for the village taking on what was a TAP award for, I don't want to call it a paltry sum, but, you know, and we've since learned from this, I think the New Paltz example, that if you're going to apply for federal aid, there's a certain baseline, a dollar amount that we would be, that we would advise municipalities to apply for. But we've made it through, almost, and that's good.
Maybe.
Dennis?
Yeah.
So can I talk about the extension of the Western Avenue?
Sure.
So as you know, it was on the tip and I graciously agreed to take it off because it was 10 years or 15 years and nothing was happening. So basically walked out there with a couple of engineers and decided to look at the walk to see what we could do without major capital investment or taking of land. There was an RFP. that
I'm going
went
to
out.
stop you out so I can explain this to the council. I apologize. This is Western Avenue in the hamlet of Marlborough. The discussion was essentially to get sidewalks from the hamlet out to the school. That's what the.
Actually, it was the widening of the pavement,
Yeah.
not sidewalks. I would love to have sidewalks, but that wasn't gonna happen either. So anyhow, so basically, an RFP went out, the surveyor went out there and completed it. I believe then what happened was I got an Excel spreadsheet of where we need to be taking of the land. I sent that to you about a month ago, Dennis.
Okay.
And asked you how do we approach this? But I don't think it's the supervisor's position to go and ask his constituents to give up land. I think it's the county. It's a county road. It's a county project. So I'm really concerned about this just dying again for another 10 years. So I just need some direction of where we're going here. We probably invested quite a bit of money in the survey. I don't know exactly how much, but I thought, so basically I thought that we were going to just to see what, I don't know what the center of the line to the pavement or what the county does control. But I noticed a lot of kids are starting to walk more and more from the high school down to the village. As you know, with this pandemic, our housing stock is almost all gone from people from New York City. There's a lot of new people coming in. They really don't know how to walk the rural roads. They're in the middle of the road. I'm really concerned about that one section, especially for the kids. And I just want to know where we're going to go from this.
Yeah, I think you sent me an email on
I
that.
did a month ago.
Yeah, we passed it on.
I don't mean to bang you, Dennis, but I did.
No,
say that,
I'm
you know,
getting
I
used-
didn't
I'm
get a
getting used to
response.
that.
It was very important to me, but acknowledgement might have been nice.
I thought I called you on it.
No, you didn't.
I apologize for not calling you, but I thought I did call you. But I did pass it on. So anyway,
We have Herb Litz on the line with a comment. I think now would be appropriate, or update, I suppose.
Herb?
Yeah, so just wondering, what's the update on the Tilson Avenue project?
So anyone here from Lloyd, update on Tilson Avenue?
We are told that the late request that we got for an updated archaeological study, because apparently the state seemed to think that there was some houses that they might have missed in the middle of Tilson Avenue or on the sides. We were required to do a new one, which is my understanding now it's almost complete. They're doing the company that the engineers hired to go out and do that. They had 3 bids. It's almost finished. When that gets done, I'm told that gets submitted back to the state. It's possible that it could start as early as late this fall, but it's more likely on being told that it will roll over to the first of the year.
Dennis, is that going to be an issue with the federal funding?
I don't know, because NISDOT is aware of this, so it shouldn't be an issue with respect to the federal funding. I talked to Tom Baird, your consultant, on this from Barton LaJudas, and he didn't believe it was going to be an issue, so.
It's not gonna be an issue, but I think your tip performance this year is really not gonna be good. But we're seeing that across all the MPOs.
I was going to say, I mean,
It's a little disappointing because we were on such an upward improvement, even though it was slight every year, things were getting better, getting better. But again, I think we all understand why, a lot of communities were uncertain of their, financial situation. But the numbers are going to be really rough. So I guess all I would ask, since we're on this subject, is that could you guys, because we're doing it at our end, can you look at the projects that are on the tip for next year? And,
for next year or for this year?
For next.
for
federal
this
fiscal
year, I think every single one of your projects may have moved down, which is a 0. I mean, it's that drastic this year, again, it's pretty bad in the other MPOs too. So what happens is all the projects that weren't delivered this year, they're going to be moved into next year. But usually those are the projects that are pretty solid. You know what I mean? Because they just missed this year. So those are usually the ones that we're like most confident that will actually be delivered. We can run you a printout of what is on the tip for next year. And I'm just talking construction phase. You probably only have a few. But if any of those projects are questionable, we need to move them into the next federal fiscal year, like within the next 2 months. Because they do the snapshot in October.
Okay.
And then that's how, we're judged on performance of delivery. So I would say, this year is this year. But let's really clean up next year so that maybe we can go from like 0 to 100. You know what I mean? That would really show that, okay, that was an anomaly. I can get you can pull that.
Yeah, we can
right,
pull it,
Brian?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we could pull that, and we'll do that.
great.
Any other local updates?
Greg, do you have any local federally projects in Kingston?
Yeah, a couple. I mean, I guess I'll give the big updates, which is Broadway Streetscape. Going from the roundabout, which we met with everybody who's working on the roundabout, working on the Broadway Streetscape and so forth, all our contractors get our ducks in a row. The roundabout is scheduled to be substantially complete by the end of July. And then they may have some plantings that have to be done in the fall, but final striping should be made by August.
That's pretty slick, by the way. I was just up there.
Yeah, it seems to be operating nicely. We haven't had too
Any support letters with respect to roundabouts, we greatly appreciate.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want any roundabouts in new ones. I think they're great for vehicles, but I want a pedestrian focused Main Street. I feel like where you have that roundabout, it makes sense. It's coming off of throughway, but I think a roundabout it flies in the face of what we would want for a pedestrian focused Main
You
Street.
know where you should go? It's interesting that you feel that way, and a lot of people, you're
Are you
not
gonna
alone.
say,
Raymond
are you gonna
Avenue,
say
the
out
kids-
at Vassar?
Raymond Avenue, Poughkeepsie.
I know,
Drive it
I know.
every
The volume of cars that we have compared to Poughkeepsie is like night and day. Night and day.
We should run we should look.
We
at
should run the numbers.
We
Before you
should
say
run-
no, we should run the numbers.
Because the numbers on Raymond Avenue, College View through there.
That's like the throughway.
They're pretty significant. That happens to be
Yeah.
my commute.
We have a parking lot. It's our Main Street.
But I'll tell you what, those cars are much more willing, because they're already going so slow, to accommodate pedestrians. I see it because I live it. You are making eye contact with that pedestrian when you literally, and the more cars actually, like in your case, you're rolling. So like you see them, you're making eye contact with them, you're letting them go. But that's, everyone.
Our Main Street is incredibly sketchy for a number of reasons that I think are being ignored. And we we've sat together in meetings. And
Well,
It's
why
been
don't-
really frustrating.
Why don't we do at least this? We certainly understand your position, but my sense would be is that we should take a look at pedestrian accident history of roundabouts versus signalized intersections. And NISDOT has more than enough experience with respect to roundabouts now that there should be some comparisons out there or some experiences that communities can share. And I think that would go a long way, not only with respect to Tim's issue, but also with respect to roundabouts generally throughout the state.
Yeah, it just seems like with the roundabout, there's more of a sharing of the intersection. With the signals, there's more of this, it's my turn and I don't even care, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mentality. So I'm just offering that, like I totally, like you're saying, get it, but there is, it's remarkable because again, my commute through that area was prior to the roundabout, so I really remember what it was like before and after.
And I'll echo it. I grew up there, grew up off Hooker Avenue, and I remember it the old way and I remember it this way. And I go through New Paltz all the time, so I know what you're dealing with. But it's better. It's probably better by 100% up there. And the traffic doesn't slow down. We used to gridlock and they let people walk across the street. Works.
So Tim, you're actually doing the study or looking at?
No, there's only, the only recommendation that we had for, that remotely resembles a roundabout as in New Paltz came from a study that was done a long time ago. And it was at Mannheim. And there's quite frankly, not a lot
Not
of room.
enough room.
Yeah, they would have to take property in order to make it work. And that's probably the most likely intersection where you would see that type of investment. Again, it's problematic. It wasn't an easy roundabout. It wasn't like, well, that fits here, and why would we look at anything else? It
Yeah,
was
they
one of
never are.
those. It was one of those things that basically you said to yourself, well, that may or may not work.
Is there any possibility that this can be looked at closer? Because our Main Street is the pedestrian portion of the Empire State Trail. Like, I feel like, that should, make it, rise to like a different level of review at this point. Like, we have a great number of pedestrians using Main Street and a great number of cars using Main Street. It's really that combination that makes it, I think, very unique compared to probably, most other streets in Ulster County.
Any other, I have a couple updates at the county. Any other updates? Were you finished?
I was just gonna,
Yeah.
I was at least gonna touch on the streets.
I was going to say, we just started and
Blew you right out.
Yeah. So.
somebody said the word roundabout and that
I
was,
know,
and
I
that
shouldn't
was,
even
that was,
Brought it up because it's not even city,
Yeah.
in case it's not the sponsor. So for the streetscape, Broadway, where we're having the cycle track put in and all the new sidewalks, that should be striped by mid-September. It's gonna be a huge change in traffic pattern. We're trying to start, our road user education campaign, get some prior notice on what it's gonna flow like. But so that should be mid-September, striping should be done, just in time for us to be realigning an intersection at Grand Street. So everybody's gonna think the construction's over and we're gonna have another project connected to it. We also just started mobilizing for our PSAP project, which is 6 different intersections throughout Kingston. That's kind of one of those projects Brian was saying earlier, the dollar amount is almost doesn't warrant doing it. Because
yeah,
it's federal.
500,000 something, or 400, something like that. Yeah.
Right
Yeah,
around there.
we've heard from MPOs statewide that, there was a great deal of excitement regarding the PSAP process and the awards that went out to high crash municipalities. And essentially the design process, and this is not just PSAP, this is all of our federal aid projects, absorbs more costs than they would have liked to have seen. I think a number of the actual locations got whittled down a little bit. But we're at 6 locations in the city of Kingston, and they're all high need locations.
Yep.
So we're happy to see those.
Now, your project on Broadway, that's gonna have the travel lanes parking and then the bikes?
Yeah, so you're gonna have, whereas now there's 4 travel lanes,
Right.
there's gonna be 3, but the middle lane is just a turning lane.
Okay.
And then parking on the north side of the travel lanes, a buffer, and then a 2-way bike path on the north side of Broadway.
And then the sidewalk
So,
in the
on
building.
the other side.
That
That's great.
is such, I am telling you, I'm watching that project very carefully. I'm so excited. I give the city of Kingston a lot of credit for sticking with it and really being committed to the concept.
How about the MPO, which did the initial study?
Oh, sorry. And I'm giving everyone credit. for
Got,
this
it got
one.
beat up pretty bad, by the way.
It did, and it reminds me of Raymond Avenue. I think some of the, it's, you know, we were talking about change before. Change is really hard. And I think this cross section is very new to like New York State, you know what I mean? And I always used to joke that the first time you do something, especially like where I was working mostly with engineers, oh, it was so hard. I tell you the stories from like 30 years ago. But once the first one drops, I used to joke, first one falls and they all fall right behind them, you know, or her. And so your project is so important because I think what's going to happen now is other municipalities are going to come and see it and see how it works. I mean, I'm confident in work. I'm sure you're extremely confident in work because the educational component. And then we're going to see others interested in this cross section.
Yeah,
Well, it's what we tried to do at Zero Place on North Chestnut in New Paltz, and the DOT said no, because there weren't other examples in New York State. And we said, well, what about New York City? It's like throughout New York City.
Yeah.
And we tried to do it. And, you know, we had the meetings and we were told absolutely not. So
Yeah,
now we're stuck with, you know, the design, which is,
Yeah.
you know, not what you're doing.
But I would say this, that I mean, the MPO took a leap here when we did something called the Building a Better Broadway. We started out with the idea that we were going to do bike lanes on either side. And one of the first public meetings we had was, we'd really like to try something different. And I credit the city and our consultants with basically saying, we think this works. With that, from that, we really had a long discussion with NISDOT, who didn't think it would work. And I think 2 things happened. One was the fact that the city had endorsed the study by the MPO. And 2 is both the MPO and the city, and particularly the mayor, stood up and said, we think you should make it work from NISDOT. There was that domino that had to fall.
Yeah.
And not the least of
it's
which
a city
was,
facility, right? A city
yeah, it's a city
roadway,
street, yeah,
so,
but
I mean,
it's also an arterial, so it has to, we struggled with the 11-foot lane requirement. So we had designed 8.5-foot lanes. And then the state came back and said, no, they absolutely positively had to be 11 feet because of the arterial requirement. So it created some difficulties. And I think the perseverance, particularly at the elected official level, was one of the ones that really got us through that. Not that the engineering department and the public relations didn't help. But the nice thing is we had a roundabout. So every time somebody started talking about the double-way cycle, you should take a look at the roundabout. So we pushed them up to go yell at DOT for the roundabout.
But I think as
But-
someone who travels Broadway regularly throughout the construction season, it's interesting to note that a lot of the detractors had said that the plan won't work with 1 lane of traffic.
Yeah.
You know, 2 travel lanes. It will not be able to move enough traffic. And my travel time, even during construction season, has dropped significantly. With the Liberty and Elbendorf Street signal gone temporarily due to the bridge construction. I can get through there, and it's single lanes now because of the sewer system that's occurring. I can only imagine it's going to improve when we get the improved signals operational as well.
It'll almost be a relief.
And I would note that in evidence that old habits die hard and you can do hybrids, the city is also looking at Schwenk Drive using DRI money And that design is a two-way cycle track on Schwank Drive. And we can, and a roundabout at Frog Alley. And then what we couldn't do is, what the city couldn't do is convince everyone that we could go to just a lane in each direction. So then it goes to 2 lanes to get into the plaza. So there's a bit of a hybrid on that work at all.
The downtown revitalization
Yeah.
initiative.
Oh, that's
governor's
right.
work.
Yeah, it's
That's very exciting. Very
so
exciting.
I think those two, the projects in tandem, I think work very well. Anything else, Greg?
No, that's it for this year.
Can I just say something? First of all, I'd like to thank the DOT for doing the repaving of the 9W corridor. That was completed, and also, we're not big time like Kingston, but we appreciate any little thing that DOT, and we really appreciate the light at Western Avenue and 9W, which is a signal light that people, pedestrians, can walk across 9W. In the beginning, I got a lot of negative reactions. Why would you put a signal light in 9W? Because people trying to get over to the Raccoon and to Pizza Town, and now it's very acceptable and people walk.
Oh,
So
good.
thank you for that.
Well, I get no credit for that, but I'll pass it on.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
So I just a couple things on the county side. We have started construction on the Midtown Linear Park. So that runs from basically Cornell Street in Kingston to the Kingston Plaza. That construction has started. We anticipate being done by November for that construction. On the Kingston Rail Trail, which runs from Washington Avenue, Hurley Avenue, we are still today in discussions with a single landowner that we have gone to eminent domain with. We filed the initial eminent domain claim. We went back to negotiations. We've been negotiating now for several months. As everyone knows, the courts are closed, but we're hoping that we can come out of those negotiations with an agreement. I thought we had an agreement a month ago, but just when you think you've got an agreement, you find out you don't. And so we need to make a decision as to whether or not we're moving forward with the eminent domain process, or whether or not we can go ahead. The other thing that is happening with respect to that is we're working closely with Central Hudson. Because Central Hudson has to rebuild. We're running on there right away. They have to rebuild some lines as part of that would essentially impact the trail. And so we're developing a schedule that essentially allows us to do all the maintenance work that we have to do on the drainage, some bridge work that we have to do. They're small bridges. They're more like culverts, and put down the trail surface, allow Central Hudson to come in and do their line work. And I mean, this is substantial line work. This is literally poles that are going to have caissons these are major transmission lines. These are not small transmission lines. These are 365 kV lines that carry a lot of things. So they're 100-foot tall poles that are going to run in through there. So we want to basically give them a bridge to cross and a surface to work on, but not a final surface of the trail. And then we'd come back and we would surface the trail after that. So we're looking at that schedule so we don't have to break the contract into big. We can break the project into 2 big pieces. One would be do all this work, and then the second would be is come back. There are some poles that have to be relocated because they run where the trails are. So we're having that conversation back and forth with Central Hudson. We hope that we can at least get to a letting by the end of the year, and start construction in the spring of 2022. That's what we're shooting for right now, assuming we can solve that issue with respect to the one property owner. And I think we will solve it. It's just a question of how long it's going to take us on that. The county is also on 299. We are, last time I talked to Andrew. So my understanding is that we are ready to go to right away.
I think he just got the authorization to go to right-of-way acquisition.
Oh, good.
You know,
I think he made a call. I think he just got that at the end of last week.
I know we were held up because there was money left in the the final design and right-of-way incidentals, and we wanted to make sure that we could transfer that money, we could transfer some of that money, or in some way, we wanted to make sure, and it was an interesting conversation, and we didn't understand it was, they weren't going to give us, they wanted the transfer to take place prior to them giving us right-of-way authorization, because they were afraid we'd lose the money.
Well, it's, yeah, and it's probably also maybe just a mechanics thing. You know what I mean? Get all the money in the tip in the right spot.
Yeah.
And
I
then
think it
do,
came through last week. If I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
yeah,
It got through.
that, yeah, they
Yeah, I
probably
was
just want to
CC'd
do
on
one
that.
federal authorization. Otherwise, you'd have to do two.
Yeah. Anyway,
Which section? That's it right there.
that's the section that basically runs from Butterville Road to Gardner. Or actually, yeah,
All the way
all
to
Mountain Road.
4455.
4455, yeah. Yeah, it runs all the way up to 4455. That's the section you're looking at. And those are the county projects. You got a bridge project too, don't you? You have one-
Yeah, I'm not sure where they sit exactly right now on the one on Brunswick Road down in Shawangunk. We've got two that were the local funded. Well, we got through here.
Yeah.
Van Tyne Kill and Woven, I believe, are due for construction next season.
Yeah, so we're in pretty good shape there. Let
Can I
me,
ask a question? Do
sure.
you know what the latest status, the one on Sampsonville was scheduled for I believe originally last fall, and then I think got pushed with the COVID. But do you know what the new schedule is on that?
I believe that one's looking for construction next year.
Okay.
And there's been an issue with the culvert that has been in design through Bridge New, or the culvert program through
Oh,
Bridge
that
New
we're
York.
doing.
Yeah, that one we gotta find extra money, but that one's also gonna be shifted, the time frame of it, because you don't want both of them going at the same time. Because of
One's a detour for the other?
detour issues, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was why I'm bringing it up.
okay.
Because the two
Yeah.
were they were
Yeah.
overlapping, and the
Mhm.
detour was a significant problem with what was being
And
proposed.
because I think there was an issue, part of it, there's a lot of extra money that needs to be found,
So
because everything was being designed by the same firm that was doing mostly Westchester stuff.
Yeah,
So-
I don't know the specifics, but I did hear they were working.
Yeah, because
through
that culvert
issues.
was part of the detour for the Sampsonville, and if they
Mhm.
ended up happening overlapping, then it was,
Did you guys submit anything, do you know, in Ulster County for Bridge New York?
we did.
The
Town
county
of
did?
Rochester
Town of
submitted,
Rochester, okay,
we submitted for voicemail.
good.
We threw Turnwood on them.
one that you requested money from us from? I don't know which, I can't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
but let's just talk about money first for two things. And I'm going to ask Brian to update us on some money issues. But let's just talk about money in general. I would hope that if the department gets additional funding through the infrastructure bill that's out there, that the department would come back to the MPOs with respect to the shortfall of fundings that are absolutely positively going to be here with respect to projects on the tip, and allow us to update those numbers rather than ask the municipalities to come up with that funding. And the Tilson Avenue project would one I would use. I would use the 299 shoulder project, and there are others I think that are out there where what's going to happen with respect to what's happening with respect to the costs, and also with respect to the initial estimates that these projects are going to be short substantial amounts of money. And while municipalities are recovering, they certainly, if the department gets that money, I hope it gets allocated so that we can pick up those projects on the tip and fund them at least the 80% level that they're entitled to, or even add in the Marchicelli funds where appropriate. And with that, I want to ask Brian to talk a little bit about what was the availability of member items under the transportation appropriation bill, and the county did put in for that. And I think, Fred, you put in for that as well.
We got to the short list and then got kicked.
Oh, okay. So Brian, why don't you,
So I think municipalities statewide were probably solicited by their congressional representatives. We being Ulster County, representatives from Congressman Delgado's office reached out to representatives and eventually came to me and came to Saja as well, to submit transportation projects that were short on funding. It was a very broad and general question. They cast the net pretty wide. They gave
basic criteria. They had preferences. It should have a pin. It should be on an approved tip stip. After some inquiries that Saja had made to Delgado's office, they were looking for certain dollar figures. So we came up with an initial laundry list, one of projects that we had that were either in planning or design or on the tip of shortfalls. So it wasn't a big list, given where a lot of our projects are. Route 299 Shoulders in New Paltz and Gardner went to the very top for road projects. We threw in the UND Trail Corridor, which we had just completed a feasibility study. Just thinking, why not? We threw in the proposed UCAT storage facility that we didn't have, it's not on an approved tip necessarily. We just had a feasibility study. And Saja added some rolling stock and electrification upgrades as well. I believe that was what was added on the FTA side. So there was an initial round and a second round, and it looks like on Congressman Delgado's list of member items, we heard what it was essentially a rumor that they would each congressional representative would have roughly $20 million of member items that they could program. So Route 299 Shoulders has tentatively been provided an additional $3.8 million for its construction. And that's to make up of a shortfall in construction costs that we estimate are in place. Total, so that's 80% of 4.5 million shortfall. UCAT successfully was programmed an additional, what was it, 800,000 for electrification and rolling stock electric buses. So those are two projects until it's approved by Congress.
Yeah, we don't know.
It's still a wish list.
Yeah.
But it's encouraging to a certain extent. It's a process, for lack of a better word, that we're all very unfamiliar with. It dates back when.
Well, not all of us,
Right. Sorry, my apologies. But
I'm glad you said that and I didn't.
right. So it's encouraging that Delgado reached out to us and we were able to get some projects programmed. But until Congress passes a Transportation Authorization Act, it remains to be seen.
And I would say currently there is a call for a CF. The consolidated funding applications are out at the state level. There are two things that may be of interest to members on the transportation side. One is there's a recreational trails program that's available through Office of Parks and Recreation. That's up to 250,000, I think it is, in terms of funding. And there's also a Environmental Protection Bond Act trails program as well. That's available under CFA. That's up to 500,000. The county is likely going to apply. We're working with an engineering firm right now, likely going to apply for Environmental Bond Act funding for the UND corridor up in the Shandaken area. That's probably where we're going to go on that. And the other thing I just wanted to talk about is the Transportation Council did a call for projects to the municipalities when the first came out. And David's been tracking those responses, and we have or will provide those responses to the county's Public Works Committee at their request. And it's not just transportation, it included transportation, water and sewer as well. And the county is getting under the American Recovery Act about $34 million. So it's split into two tranches, 17 million this year and 17 million next year. And the county did listening sessions. The county executive office did listening sessions around the county. They're working on a draft program now that would require require the legislature to approve as well in terms of how to essentially spend that county dollars and where it should be spent. And they're big buckets: human services, infrastructure, police and fire, those kinds of things. And then the nonprofit sector as well. So you can think of the big buckets that are out there. But I don't have the details yet with respect to that. David, can you just talk a little bit about the projects that we did see come in from the?
Sure, we received requests or responses from 7 municipalities for a total of 18 different projects, I believe. And they range, there was a fair amount looking at water and sewer facilities and as well as roadway facilities. Couldn't quite do cost estimate or give you a ballpark. A lot of the requests didn't have a funding amount associated with them. Some did, some had more details than others. But as far as like an overall ask, I couldn't tell you what the total amount was. But it's great. Now we have, listing of priorities, which is what I think we were looking for. And this was in response to, I believe, Herb Litz's request at the legislature for some, detailed of, what municipal needs were. And I believe that we're going to be closing out the survey and then supplying that data over, and hopefully that fulfills that request.
And I wanted to thank her and the Public Works Committee for that request. It was timely and certainly something that we were glad to do.
No, thank you.
Anything else? Anything I'm missing?
Just one other thing. Is there any plans to repave Western Avenue? Plateau Road, it's really in bad shape. That's the area where we're thinking about extending the pavement for up to the high school.
You do me a favor, I'll put that in writing to Commissioner Jackson and CC me, and I promise I'll call you. How's that?
Not a witness.
Yeah. I actually did think I called.
I will, thank you.
I have 2 final project updates in brief, and maybe Dave has one as well. I just want to say the long-range transportation plan has been printed. This is a proof copy. Circulated around. It came out wonderfully. There are a couple minor errors in the pagination that are being corrected right now, but we will have hard copies for all members of the Transportation Council. So it is not glued. The binding is not glued, so be careful with it. You'll have a lot of pages in your hands, but I'm really happy with the way it came out. So thank you to everyone for their assistance there. Communications and announcements. County Executive Pat Ryan did release a brief announcement about safety issue at Route 44. That was, I apologize for not circulating that. That was something that the Transportation Council did assist with. And then the crash study. And then I think that's pretty much it. Do you have anything to add, Dave?
Yeah, with relating to the crash study, the the transportation safety or this road safety program, road safety plan. We have gone through, we've done our network screening, we've identified the top 10 locations, and we had our consultant with Cambridge Systematics take a closer look at the top 10 intersections and top 10 segments in the county, and take a little bit closer look for improvements. And we're actually going to be presenting some of the findings of the study tomorrow at 10 a.m. An email went out to all the town supervisors and the high selected officials, and as well as the highway superintendents as well. So we encourage you to participate in that via Zoom. We're not doing it in person for that one, but it will go over some of the findings that we have so far. And what this really does is it gives us a great listing of the high priority locations in the county as far as where safety issues are, and it looks to provide some suggestions for improving those locations.
Do you have like an executive summary of that report that you could email to all of us?
Of course, not quite yet. We're still
Yeah.
doing
I know
the
you
report.
requested
I
it.
know, I'm
Yeah.
like antsy for
Yeah.
that.
Of
you
course,
know?
we
Yeah.
are as well. But tomorrow we'll just be kind of going over some of the findings from that, and it may just be that presentation that we circulate as far as an executive summary that may be sufficient.
Okay.
But once we get the completed report, we'll happily distribute it. And as it comes out with the one request from the county executive that came out at that intersection of Brunswick Road and Route 44 in the town of Gardner, it happened to be the top intersection location identified in our study as far as safety, severity, and looking at the volumes that were out there. It's really very disproportionate.
So I think unfortunately, the Transportation Council, the county executive acting as chair of the Transportation Council had written a letter to NISDOT, I think on Thursday, regarding that intersection location and asking for a solution because of the accident history that was there. And also, quite frankly, because when we looked at the accident history, they were increasing over time. Unfortunately, that weekend, we had a death at that intersection, had a fatality at that intersection. So while the request was timely, it wasn't timely enough. So I know that NISDOT has reached out. I know that there's some work that needs to be done. I would just ask Sandra to make sure that A, the county executive's kept in the loop, and B, that the Transportation Council is kept in the loop as well, particularly if there's any meetings scheduled with the town. We would hope that there would be one.
Yeah, it went right to our regional directors.
Yeah, I talked to Lance the other day,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, I talked to Lance the other day about it. And we provided some backup data with respect to that intersection as well, as well as our crash diagrams that we had available from our consultant as well, and a preliminary look at signal warrants for that particular intersection.
So the presentation tomorrow, you're going to discuss details about 10 intersections, but
It's,
then how many were originally?
so we've done a network screening for the entire county, all of the roads that have, well, actually, yeah, all the roads in the county, some of which are going to be a little bit more accurate with the volumes, but we've gone through and basically ranked all the segments of, just taking a look at the severity of the crashes and the frequency of them versus the traffic volumes that you're seeing, to kind of give an idea of, where the most problematic areas are. And we looked at segments as well as intersections.
Yeah, I would say, Tim, that this is not a Letterman top 10 kind of thing. This is basically looking at, I mean, if you wanted to look at the top 10 locations, you'd probably find that they're all NISDOT roads. So we picked various types of roads and various types of intersections and did it that way, rather than just basically say, here's the top 10 locations. We actually picked those locations in terms of, this is an intersection of a state road, the county road. Here's a minor collector. Here's 2 local streets, and we did it by intersections. Here's the intersections that meet those criteria. Here's the segments of road that meet that criteria. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. That's a great point. And we also utilize local feedback from our advisory committee as well to help prioritize some of those, which did bump up some intersections. Though I still believe that one intersection that we identified at Brunswick Road, just naturally on its own, was the top intersection.
So just quickly on studies that we're doing, we just pushed to the legislature. Go ahead, Herb.
Before you get to that, can you send us all a link to that meeting?
Of course, I'll forward it along.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, Herb. And just on other studies that the Transportation Council is engaged in, we just sent to the legislature a contract proposal for our resiliency study. That's a countywide resiliency study. The firm that we hired is GZA Geotechnical, with a backup from Cambridge Systematics. It has to go for the legislature because it's more than a $50,000 contract. It's about $109,000. Excuse me. Apologize. So that's one. And then where are we? Traffic counts. So we haven't done traffic counts in 2020, mainly because they were so different. But we are looking at traffic counts come fall.
That's the goal. We still need to get Tri-State under contract. We were
Okay.
hoping to extend the contract from Dutchess County. There is language in there. I need to reach out to them though and get that.
Okay, so we would probably be doing some traffic counts this fall. Anything else from the council, Brian? Did I miss anything?
I think we
Okay.
covered quite a few things.
Okay. All right.
Dennis, can I just?
Sure, go ahead.
I've already mentioned this, I think, a few months ago by Zoom, but want to thank the DOT for their partnership with the parks, Minnewaska and Mohawk area. They put up where there were significant pull-off areas that people made in the parking areas last year. They put up posts every 4 feet or so. I think Dave Corrigan and was the impetus behind that. And also, I'm not sure where they came from, but Minnewaska, they may have come from the DOT. They put up cones and the traffic barrels as barriers, and it's working. I have seen 0 instances of people parking along 44, 55 this year, whereas last year we had 3 miles of parking lots. So I think it's a combination of a
Yeah.
lot of things.
Yeah.
I think people have more opportunity to go other places, but it was a solution to a problem that really was a big problem last year, and it's just gone this year. And long range, we have to come up with a better solution, because clearly leaving these barrels and cones, it's clearly unsightly, but it's solving the problem in the short term. But just
We do have a corridor study
right,
program.
and I think all that
We can look at
is
some of
is
those.
great, but
I'll
I
pass
just
it
wanted to say
along, 'cause
thank you
again, I
that,
can't take any
yeah,
credit
it's
for that.
worked.
Yeah.
So there has been, to my knowledge, 0 instances
That's
of people
great.
parking. So
Yeah, Dave always does a good job.
Anything else? So I would just
I think
like,
we might have something from Vernon.
Vernon?
potentially.
Yes, hi, thank you. As long as you're recapping on some things from the resilience study, it reminded me that the county was working on purchasing 3 new EV buses last fall. How's that going? And also on installing depot charging at Golden Hill for the buses that are on order. Is that progressing as well?
so the short answer is yes. Sasha, you want more detail?
Yeah, I'm gonna take that question. So we put in a purchase order for 3 electric buses. The RFP was ordered to New Flyer of America, and we actually have the option to purchase up to 9. So we're expecting our first 3 hopefully by the end of the year. I actually think the buses will arrive. There is a very long lead time on charging infrastructure right now. So we unfortunately haven't broken ground on the actual chargers at our facility, but you know, everything's in place for that to get started, and that's with the New York Power Authority. So the buses are purchased with Volkswagen funding and through a rebate program with NYSERDA, and we're expecting our first 3. Those 3 will be deployed initially in the city of Kingston, because the city supports the routes that will be best suited for electric buses. The other routes are a bit longer haul, so we did do an electrification study that was completed during the pandemic to look at which routes and how we would actually electrify our whole system. We're going to continue to work with that consultant to see how to actually do purchases going forward and how to electrify our fleet fully. But I have to be honest, our routes are a little bit longer, so they're not obviously suited for electrification the way we have charging infrastructure in the county today. So hopefully we'll be able to scale that up. We're working on it, and I'm sure there will be a big to-do where everyone will be invited when the buses arrive, because we are one of the first really rural agencies to receive them.
And the goal from the county executive under the Green New Deal is to have the fleet electrified by 2030.
So that was 2032.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, thank you.
Anything else? So I just want to say thank you. Appreciate everyone coming out and bearing with us while we go through this, what seems like a sudden change, but actually is a welcome change. And I just want to tell you that I miss you all when I don't have a chance to talk to you, even though if I don't call you on the phone.
It's gonna get so many calls.
We missed you too.
He's gonna call you every day.
Thanks, Al. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Dave.
On your way out, somebody grab some bagels and stuff over there. I got a ton of bagels.
Be safe, stay healthy.
Yeah.
Can we
need
get
a-
a second?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Motion to pass. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
get over there. Actually, you don't.
You don't need a motion to
As
close
long
the
as-
meeting if the agenda's finished.